it's sheer irony that this is the most stacked division in football, the AFC West, and I'm going to say to you, will we bang through this one?
I'm calling an audible. I'm calling an audible. We're doing the South first.
Oh, okay.
Because I refuse to finish on the AFC South. I think that, when you do these podcasts and things, you want people to be listening for longer and you want them to be engaging in the whole thing. And I think if we give them the AFC South last, they're going to turn off half an hour into the podcast when we've got through all the other divisions.
It goes back to last week and the whole Titan situation with you and Ollie and the whole discussion. Do you want to start with Indianapolis first?
Indianapolis, very simple. And I know it's what you've got down, and I'm going to completely steal it from you, Matt Ryan, because not only did they manage to somehow get out of a terrible contract, a loss of picks, and manage to get a former MVP level quarterback who might not be at the height of his powers anymore, but he is a professional who knows how to do it. The noise from in the building has been absolutely sensational. Managed to get his cap hit lower and do it while getting picks back as well. It is the luckiest / most genius bit of team building from Chris Ballard. He's totally got away with this. And actually, I think that as long as they can get the performance out of drag the performance out of the defense, I think they've got a really interesting front four with DeForest Buckner there, and they've clearly got superstars at every level. I think if they can get Xavier Rhodes, Shaquille Leonard, there is quality at every level of that defense. They've got Jonathan Taylor, they've got Matt Ryan, they've got some decent pass catchers. This should be a team who are setting out to win this division. And not only that, but I have a good friend of mine who was not enjoying what they were doing in the off season prior to Matt Ryan coming in, and still thinks that they didn't do enough to be aggressive enough considering the cap space they had. We have an agreement that I've backed the Colts to go to the playoffs. He said they won't make the playoffs. Whoever loses has to buy a full brisket, and then we're going to smoke it for a playoff game on my big green egg for the postseason. I think I'm not paying for that brisket because I think they're going to win the AFC South.
Might have to join you for that. Sounds really good.
Oh, you're more than welcome. 100%.
It's funny. I spoke to Chris Ballard last week, right? And he did say...
I spoke to Chris Ballard last week. I know. So, let me just pick up that
for
name.
Anyone listening in the UK especially, he very sort of briefly mentioned that they're eager to play in London. I don't know if that's going to be next year or whatever, but yeah, could be interesting. We'll see what happens. They haven't played in London in 6 years. But for people listening around the world, back to the NFL chat in the sense of in the season mode, I'm going to literally copy what you said, mate. That was literally my notes. Matt Ryan, if you thought last year when you had a quarterback sitting there and each play, especially towards the end of the season, you thought to yourself, is he going to throw a pick here? Is he going to fumble? They've got Jonathan, and that's great. Like I was sitting watching the Patriots game. I think it was on Saturday night before Christmas last year. And that run game it was elite last year. Like he's probably he could hit over 2,000 this year, but they've now got a quarterback in terms of Matt Ryan. It's going to be more shared out. I think Philip Lindsay as well is like the third string running back there. They've got the talent. If they can manage Matt Ryan effectively and protect him and run the ball to the point where Taylor gets enough reps, they're going to win the division. I would never have said that last year, but the Colts, but it shows you will. One man can come into that team, especially obviously the most important position at that age, and just turn them around. I think NFL fans in general would love to see Matt Ryan do well, because I think after a few years in Atlanta, he definitely deserves to have maybe one more run. And hopefully, if he did get to the big dance, not blow how many point lead was that again?
Yeah, let's not talk about it. 25. Look, I will coach it by saying, and I know this is the Positivity Podcast, or one of two. Matt Eberflus leaving, Gus Bradley coming in, there may be a square peg round hole situation there, but I think they've got the pass rush and linebackers to make it work, and the pass catchers aren't great on paper, but with a much better quarterback, a good run game, they need a left tackle maybe. There are the question marks, but in a weak division, I think they should have absolute designs on winning it. The other team who will very much feel that way are the Tennessee Titans. So I will refer to my notes from my one Titans fan that I know well, and I will tell you that he said, One thing, which suggests there's more than one thing, or maybe not one thing. I can't tell which. He said, a fully fit Derrick Henry, which he never was last year, with unfinished business. I think some people are just sleeping on us again. We currently have the third longest non-losing streak in the NFL, of course, because overtime and all that. And he said he's excited to see Treylon Burks. Things look really positive from camp, and they do. The noises around Treylon Burks are really exciting. No, we're being positive. We're being positive.
I actually love this. This is great fun, man. This is the thing. We talked a minute ago about Miami and where they might be in terms of the wild card if they do finish second. Out of the Colts and the Titans as well, if say obviously it's very likely one of them finishes second, that wild card spot will, I think, for the first time ever in that AFC is going to be huge. Like the two wild card spots. The situation with Tennessee, it's changed a wee bit since that show last week. Malik Willis, albeit it was preseason, he looked class. His short yardage ability to run. Look, I think didn't Mike Vrabel take him out of the game because he was running too much and he was doing like almost Tim Tebow-esque. I'll just run here. I hope that it all works. But really, really enjoyed watching him at the weekend. You're right. The Tennessee Titans are underrated. They're always underlooked. They were underlooked last season, even halfway during the year. Nobody really gave them that chance of going and being the number one seed. And look what they've done in the end up. I think it's good for everyone to be positive. I think the whole situation with Ryan Tannehill, I would like to hope, even as a neutral, that has sort of resolved itself in terms of helping out people, quarterbacks, etc. It's a big year for him, and I think he'll prove it in the field.
Let's do Tennessee. No, we just did Tennessee. Let's do Texans. Houston. Let's do the Houston Texans. I've literally got them open in front of me here, and I somehow managed to get the name wrong. I will give you the first reason to be positive for the Houston Texans is they have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. From a winnable games perspective, and I loved the coaching last year, and I think they were near miracle workers to get to 4 wins with everything going on around that team, is that you've managed to cut out the cancer that was causing your team so much harm. You've brought in 3 first-round picks. You are clearly still rebuilding. In Lovie Smith, you have an experienced coach who knows how to operate, and you have an easy schedule comparatively. Am I getting a lot of positives on the field? Maybe not, but I think there is an acceptance in that city that it's a rebuild. So let's focus on why you are set up to rebuild. I like Lovie Smith. He's probably not the guy to be there for 20 years, but I think in the situation that they're in now, he's perfect for this team. He is well, I think I'm not sure what the date of the Super Bowl was last year, but he was appointed very close to, so he's been there for a long time now. He's been there for a good few months, maybe more so than some other teams have brought in head coaches, and he's put a lot into his job, like it both off and on and off the field. One thing that I was really surprised about, well, not really surprised about, but a lot of people aren't talking that much about Davis Mills, maybe more like other quarterbacks in this league, and for him to come out and talk about Lovie Smith and says that he feels as if Lovie Smith believes in him more so than any other player he's ever been with, his leadership skills, I think that says a lot. And you're right, like the Texans are in a situation where it's not like there's no pressure, but they have that opportunity to maybe go now and take time and try and build their way up. And if Davis Mills is the answer for them, or if he can get them to that point where they become a challenger in that division, well, then that's a pro for them this year. For me, if they get over 4.5 or 5.5 games, they've done very, very well this year. But Lovie Smith needs to be given a couple, maybe 2 or 3 seasons minimum to try and turn that around, because he can do it. I think he can. Jacksonville is easy, right? The very simple answer is, I just referred to the Texans cutting out a near terminal illness from their organization. You no longer have Urban Meyer in the building. That's positive enough. You're going to get year 2 of Trevor Lawrence without all of the nonsense, without all of the off-field nonsense, on-field nonsense, everything else involved. Am I necessarily sitting here thinking Doug Peterson is my long-term pick to rebuild a franchise? Maybe not, but he is the safest pair of hands you could have got this year. And I mean, you're talking about a 3-win team last year. I can't see a world where this is a 3-win team this year, just based on quarterback play alone. Mac Jones was the best quarterback in the draft class last year. I think he will be the third, maybe fourth best quarterback in that draft class by the end of this season, because Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, and possibly Justin Fields are all going to leapfrog him. Justin Fields only won't because of what's around him, but I think he's a better player.
I really like that stat. I like that. You're spot on with the whole situation in terms of the coaches. I mean, I still can't believe that happened last year, and like that was mad. I'm not sure how long he lasted after that win in London. That it was definitely good fun, but I'm really curious, Will, to see how Doug Peterson's going to maybe implement, tailor the offense to Trevor Lawrence. He's had a full year of maybe pro experience under his belt, but you need to try and take the elite traits that he had in college and build it into that offense. And it's important that he stays confident in his ability to make any throw. But I do think last year it might not have harmed him, but I think it will have affected his play, and I think he might have lost a bit of confidence. But if there's anyone to come in, a guy that's won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, a guy that's really, really, really experienced in this league, Doug Peterson can take Trevor Lawrence to the next level. And if I'm a Jaguars fan, outside of that, there's so much good stuff going on with this team. It's a good time to be a Jaguars fan. And I think the last time that happened was when they were one game from the Super Bowl with Blake Bortles.
Yeah,